Welcome back everyone, RacerX here, and today we're going to talk a little bit about the Demon 170. And yes, it has been a while since I brought you a Demon 170 video. Moved to Florida about 2 years ago. Come to find out, in the summertime here, it rains every single freaking day. And if you have a dedicated drag car like this one with ET Street R's on the back, it is really hard to get any miles put on this car. And it just kind of is what it is. But today we're going to talk a little bit about the Demon 170 having been out for right at a year. The first customers took possession of their Demon 170s basically exactly a year ago, and there's been all sorts of press about this car, a lot of it negative. So today I'm going to give you both the negative and the positive of the Demon 170 and give you my final thoughts on, was it a huge mistake by Dodge or was it a good move? So today it should be a fun one. If you guys are brand new to the channel, please hit subscribe. You can find that button right over here, and off we go.
T-minus 15 seconds.
Guys, just a quick reminder, many of you have been asking me about how to get RacerX hats. Well, I just got in another shipment. It is on my Etsy shop, and I just had brand new keychains made. So by popular demand, another shipment of these just came in, and from now until the end of September, if you buy one of my hats, I will just go ahead and throw one of my keychains in the bag for you guys free of charge. Once again, that's only good till the end of the month, but go get your RacerX hats. I will pin the Etsy shop link down in the comments below, and on we go with the video. Dodge initially started teasing the Demon 170 over 2 years ago at Speed Week. Tim Kuniskis talked about it at length. It was under the sheet there, and he talked about how they were doing 7 special edition cars, this being the bad daddy of them all, something everybody would get excited about, something record-breaking, and that really set the automotive world ablaze. Everybody wanted to find out kind of what this car was all about. And then over the course of the next, say, 8 months, we kind of waited a little while, and then we started seeing all these teasers come out from Dodge hinting about performance. We could basically surmise that it was going to be an E85 car. Everybody was kind of taking a shot in the dark in terms of horsepower and some of the other things that were going to be on this car. A few things got leaked out there, and ultimately they gave us a really, really cool unveiling, if you will, out in Vegas, like 8 months after they initially showed it to us at Speed Week, and they brought it in on a helicopter, and they fully went all out for the Demon 170. But that is when things started to get a little bit weird. Once they got the car unbolted from the plate that they helicoptered it in on, they actually took it down to the beginning of the drag strip, and Jim Wilder, the driver that they've used multiple times, took it down through the quarter mile. And a lot of people actually watched that pass, myself included, and we kind of concluded that it was somewhere in the high 9s. And turns out that pass was somewhere in the high 9s. And then, of course, it came across the board, and it said 891 at 151 mile an hour.
Runs 0 to 60 in a record NHRA certified 1.66 seconds, and the quarter mile in a record NHRA certified 8.9 seconds at 151.
Now, I know why Dodge did that. It was very unlikely in that DA and under those conditions that Jim Wilder was going to go out and just run an 891, a perfect pass, so to speak, in front of all those people with a cold track, all that kind of stuff. So I know why they did that, but some people were still a little bit disappointed. And when they threw down that number, basically making this the world's first internal combustion factory car to run in the 8s, which is an unbelievable thing to think about. A lot of people speculated that that was just an unachievable number. We know that the 2018 Demon, 965 at 140, almost nobody could replicate that. It took a really light driver, perfect conditions. We know all about it, and just nobody could get there. And I think a lot of people felt that this car was going to be the exact same thing. But so many people blown away by that number. And when people started actually getting their cars, they were going out and they were running, some people like 9.1, 9.2, and people were a little bit closer to the number. A lot of it had to do with DA, track conditions, all that kind of stuff, as you would expect with a drag race car. The fastest I ever got this car to before I got to the second engine on this, I'm on the second engine now obviously, was like a 938. at 144 miles an hour. That's basically the fastest this car has ever gone for me, but some people in better conditions got it to go a little bit faster. However, the 891 once again was a really hard thing to duplicate. Not to take anything away from how fast the car is, but a really hard number to kind of replicate in real world conditions. So here we have the baddest muscle car ever made. Everybody's getting excited about it. Everybody's getting worked up. Everybody wants one. And during the reveal, they even said if you owned a 2018 Demon, you would then have kind of the first right towards one of the 2023 Demon 170s, and they would get your VIN from the old car and they would actually move it over to the new car. So if you had Demon 615, for example, which mine is, back in 2018, you would then be eligible to have Demon 615 in the 2023 car. Well, come to find out, the dealers were not playing along, because even though Dodge came out and said, listen, we're going to build MSRP orders first, a lot of dealerships just simply lied. I've talked about it at length. They said, yeah, we're going to build these in MSRP, and then ended up gouging the customer anyway. A lot of broken promises on Demon 170s, and it was just all in the news, all in the press. I mean, we've all heard about all the gouging that these dealerships did. They did a lot of damage to the brand, and it was really a super unfortunate situation where so many people that potentially wanted a Demon 170 just got priced completely out of the market by these dealerships, all sorts of shenanigans. And like I said, I could do an entire series and have talked about it at length about just how bad the dealerships got and how ridiculous this whole broken system is. But ultimately, it alienated a lot of the former Demon owners and a lot of the people that wanted to own a Demon. And it just got absolutely asinine, all of the tactics that these dealerships were using to gouge people. And that's only the start of it. One other item of note, and I feel like I should mention this, is just a couple of months after the order banks opened on the Demon 170, Dodge went ahead and threw an extra $10,000 onto the MSRP of these cars, just randomly. I'm not sure kind of what prompted that. For example, my car stickered at like $108,000. I went in to check my order status one day. Next thing I knew, it was $118,000. Now, luckily, I already had a signed contract and I was price protected. But for the people that signed a contract after that happened, they were just stuck paying the extra 10 grand. Now, I realize what a lot of people are thinking. Why does that matter at all when people are paying $250,000, $300,000 for these cars? Well, the truth is, it really doesn't. If you have that kind of money, you could care less about the extra $10,000, but I just thought I would put it out there. Now, another thing that had people up in arms is a lot of folks felt deceived by some of the marketing on this car. And what I mean by that is, if you paid attention to all of the teasers before this car came out, they teased ethanol, they teased cylinder pressure, they teased trolling the plaid, all of that kind of stuff. It all basically made sense when you actually saw the horsepower, the ET of the car, everything that this car has going on, with the exception of the teaser they put out talking about 215 mile an hour. Now, we all know that the red-eye version of this car, which makes over 200 horsepower less, will go 202 miles an hour even with a full wide body kit on it. So I think it's reasonable to expect this car to do 215 mile an hour. Everybody sort of thought that. I was the very first one to put this car on a dyno, and when I put the car on the dyno, I got to like 148 miles an hour, 149 mile an hour, and then it would just cut power. But you can see this actually cut off in 6th gear because of the drum speed. So you can see this one pulled all the way out to there, and then of course right here it stopped. So this number would actually be significantly higher if it didn't get cut off. So that's a little bit of a bummer. So we're going to try something a little bit different to see if we can get another number on this next pull. And initially we thought that there was something wrong with the dyno, but after several runs in different gears, we found out that the car kept cutting power. And by this time, lots of other people were asking, hey, can I take my Demon 170 to like the Texas Mile event? People wanted to start doing half-mile events with the car, just kind of putting the car through its paces. And come to find out that Dodge actually did put a speed limiter on the car of 149 mile an hour. Yes, it will eclipse 149 during the course of like a quarter-mile drag race, but only very briefly. And they say they had to do that because of the tires they put on the back. I get that to a degree. Like I said, I've never really understood the argument or getting mad about it, because one, this is a drag race inspired car, and two, where in the world are you going to go 180, 190, 200 miles an hour? That's really kind of a stupid argument in my mind. And if you're doing that, you need to have your head examined anyway. And maybe there's one or two guys in the world that actually want to take this car out to the Texas Mile. Otherwise, just why gripe about it? But like I said, a lot of people did feel like they were deceived because of the marketing saying 215, and now they come to find out that a Scat Pack, which will do like 180 or 185 miles an hour, is actually a way faster top end speed car than a Demon 170. So there is that piece of it as well. Now to tackle the elephant in the room, if you will, the failures on the Demon 170 engines. And those of you guys that follow my channel, you're well aware, this is my second engine. My first one, of course, failed at the track. It was replaced under warranty. I gave Dodge a lot of information. They got all the logs on the car, all that kind of stuff. And yes, they did check through the ECU exactly what happened with the car. And they ultimately got the engine back, tore it apart, but they never gave me any indication as to what really happened with that engine. But all indications are, and what they told me, what it was not a break-in issue. I did everything right. I just don't want that to happen to this engine again. And I was one of the first people to kind of report that my engine had basically eaten itself, if you will. And then I started seeing a lot of other things happening with Demon 170 engines. One guy, his bolts were never tightened down, so his engine blew up basically. Another person windowed the block. There had been multiple engine failures on the Demon 170, and truth is, by my estimation, maybe 10% of the Demon 170 sold are actually going to the track and actively racing. They're being put through their paces, and these cars are actually being used for what this car was designed to do, which is race. I'll never quite understand why people wanted to buy this car that aren't racers, because it's not the best car in the rain. It's not a good car in the rain at all, right? So it's not really an all-weather car. I guess a lot of people just wanted the bragging rights, even though they don't drag race. I really can't say, but 10% of the cars, by my estimation, are out there. They're racing, and yes, we are seeing other failures on the Demon 170. Now, you're talking about an engine that makes 1,025 horsepower, so things will happen with that, but I think it has a lot of people just kind of speculating that maybe there are bigger issues at play, maybe a design flaw at play with the Demon 170 engine, and it has a lot of people scared to race this car. And I feel like that is one of the main things going on with this car, is people are like, look, if I take this car to the track, is it going to blow up on me? And I have to admit, in my own mind, I'm like, is this car even safe to go out and race after the first engine basically ate itself? I'm not really doing anything different with this car. I know I broke the first engine in the right way. I'm breaking this engine in very, very carefully, and this time I'm actually doing a lot more data logging. Just driving around, I'm data logging the car. We're looking at air-fuel ratio, we're looking at oil pressure, lots of different parameters to make sure this engine is 1,000% healthy before I take it back out to the track. But it just sucks that I have to do that. So that is another big reason that a lot of people are just kind of put off a little bit by the Demon 170. I hate to say that, but it is what it is. Another thing about the Demon 170, and if you talk to the guys that actually race the car, they're all going to tell you the same thing that I'm telling you right now. This car is an absolute beast to launch with any sort of consistency because of how the power comes on in the car, right? It has torque reserve, which means it builds boost in the supercharger, and all that boost hits at once, which allows this thing to be incredibly fast, right? So you're talking 60 foots in like the 1.2 range, 0 to 60 like 1.6 something. I've actually got that right here on the dash. So it is unbelievably quick if you get the right conditions, but in anything less than perfect conditions, it'll drive you crazy trying to launch this thing and go out and race things like the Plaid or the Lucid or anything like that, because they just get a massive jump on you because the car wants to spin. I spun coming out of the hole, guys. My 1,000+ horsepower Hellcat, one, I could do a burnout, just put it in second gear. This one, you have to shift it into second gear. There's a lot of little quirky things with this, but just getting this car to launch, first gear is so violent. So a lot of the guys, when they tune these cars, they have a lot more success because they can tune it to where they can launch in second and they can launch a different way. But getting this thing to launch with the stock tune in it, it's very, very difficult to do. And like I said, I'm not the only one that struggles with this. Anyone 70 owner that actually races their car, if they're being honest with you, they will tell you this car is really hard to launch in anything but perfect conditions. So there's that as well. Okay, well, enough with the negativity. Now let's talk a little bit about what a feat of engineering this Demon 170 really is, because that's what I have to keep reminding myself is this car is amazing when you just think about the physics of it, right? I mean, you're talking about a 4,400+ pound car that can hold a wheelie to like 29 feet. This isn't the 2018 Demon. This thing wheelies way further. I actually have video of my car holding a wheelie for like 25 feet. It is really amazing that a car with a big old iron block with a supercharger on it can do something like that. 0 to 60 in 1.66 seconds on a prep surface. Think about sitting at a stoplight and going just over a second and a half and being at 60 mile an hour over 2 G's on the skid pad. This is a violent car, and it is a factory production car. So once again, kudos to Dodge for having the balls to even try this. Yes, you have EVs out there that are really fast. That is like comparing apples to oranges. And up until Chevy just announced this new ZR1, this was the most powerful American internal combustion offering ever. And so, yeah, the new ZR1 is going to be really impressive. What's the price point on it going to be? It's going to be crazy. And if you really think about performance per dollar, like I said, my car stickered at $108,000. Think about just how incredibly fast this car is. Yes, $108,000 is a lot of money, but compare that to even some of the craziest hypercars out there when you're talking about just 0 to 100, you know, in the low 4-second range. That's what this car does. That is stupid to think about. And it's much heavier than those cars, right? It doesn't have all the carbon fiber and a lot of the other aids. This thing is literally just a sledgehammer that will suck the breath out of you. And there's something fun about that. If you love muscle cars and you love the sound, I mean, just listen to it. God, it's absurd what this car really is. So yeah, you can talk about all the negativity and all the worry and all the speculation all you want. The truth remains that this car is violent fast, and it will make you smile ear to ear every time you get in it to drive it, unless you're in the rain, of course, which we already talked about. But I have driven a million of these Hellcats and Scat Packs and GT500s and Plaids, and I will maintain that this is one of the most fun cars to drive ever. It is so much fun. I mean, just listen to this thing, and just the blip of a throttle, it's got you sitting back in the seat. This thing is so nasty. And it's just so much fun to have all that power on tap. And so, like I said, with all the negativity being put out there about this car, I would encourage anybody who's had a chance to get in it and drive it, or at least ride in one, to remember what this car is and why it is special. Now, I absolutely love the fact that Dodge went ahead and went flex fuel with this. No more loading in race fuel like the 2018 Demon. You can go right to the pump, get E85, assuming you have an E85 station near you, load it in, and then it will automatically calculate the horsepower based on ethanol content and give you as much as 1,025. From an engineering perspective, guys, I still feel like this is a really amazing car. And like nobody else is doing this. Nobody else is putting out a factory-built drag car like this. Some people will say, oh no, the Copo Camaro. That's not a factory car, guys. The Cobra Jet is not a factory car. This is literally a production factory car that will suck your eyeballs to the back of your head and put a massive smile on your face. So yes, I'm having to jump through some extra hoops. It sucked that I had to replace the engine. It sucks that I'm having a data log every time I get in here just to make sure the thing is safe. So I just want to be clear about that, very transparent, very honest, but I still love the car. And it is a monster. It is a smile machine. It is violent. And if you are a true purist, okay, that's what this car is. This is a driver's car. It is not easy to drive this car fast. It's easy to drive a Lucid fast. It's easy to drive a Plaid fast. My grandmother can do that.
You got like a million things to do with your line lock and the burnout.
All sorts of stuff.
Power brake in it, you know, all that kind of stuff you got. You got a lot more to worry about than I do. All I have to do is go up there and step on it.
Just nail it, yeah.
That's all I'm gonna do.
It is hard to drive this car fast, but that's part of the challenge. That's part of what makes it fun. And you just have to remember that. And we're starting to lose that, right? As a car community, as we go down the EV rabbit hole and as you go down the hybrid route, and you see all these hypercars coming out now, and a lot of them are, you know, hybrid drivetrains and stuff like that. This is a pure muscle car for drivers. So if you can't get behind that, you just can't get behind being a internal combustion enthusiast as far as I'm concerned. So anyway, guys, that's my final thoughts on it. Yes, I realize the negativity and some of it very warranted, but when you get behind the driver's seat of a Demon 170, ask any other 170 owner what it's like to drive one of these. Geez, listen to this thing. And they will tell you that it's still a hell of a lot of fun to own one of these. Anyway, guys, just wanted to give you my thoughts, give you both sides of the coin on is the Demon 170, was it a massive failure for Dodge? In my mind, despite the issues, kudos to them for building this car. I love it, and just thought I would leave you with that. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below, and I'll catch you on the next one. So until then, RacerX.